Welcome to this series where I take classic The Rock from 2021 and try to throw it against the field of decks that you will probably see at your local scene as well. So stay tuned and watch some The Rock. Welcome to the third round. We have seen a match versus Elves in round 1, and we saw a match against Enchantress in round 2, and now we're off against something Miracle Grow, Threshold something. Reminds me about the lists that have been running around where you see Werebear, Nimble Mongoose, and Dreadnought in the same deck, but this deck doesn't contain Dreadnought. But it also has the lightning bolts. Both players mulligans to 5, and we see a turn 1 Cabal Therapy here. And this is in the blind, but I gotta know what's up. Maybe I'm looking for some information about my turn 2 play. Maybe not, but okay, we see 2 lands, foil, Winter Orb, and a Fire Ice. So at this point I had no clue what was going on, but I was like, okay, foil is card disadvantage. He has no pressure here. Winter Orb might be a problem, but I do have some walls that can handle those, and I play into the Wasteland and draw from my wall here. Okay, but now he might not even have enough lands here. Maybe baiting the Wasteland to hinder him developing his mana was my thought process here. It's difficult to look back on and say what you were thinking in exact moments, but he ships a turn and ices my Llanowar Wastes. I instead used the mana for a cycle ability, and he of course gets the draw from the ice. Another swamp here. I don't need double pips in black. I need double green mana. He probably knows this. I went to time in game 1, or in the first match versus Elves, so he might have been able to see what I was on here, and I had no clue what he was doing. Now he does show me the Mongoose, so I have an idea that this is some kind of Miracle Grow deck where you are trying to hinder your opponent from playing the game and just having 1 or 2 creatures that do grow, either from Threshold or maybe he has the Dryads in the deck. So I sort of have a clue of what's going on now, and here I cycle a Krosan Tusker to find a forest so I can actually play my my beasts. And he cuts the deck and draw from Tusker, cycling ability. And yeah, I got the land drop in. But I know that I'm facing off this Winter Orb, and that might be a problem for a mana hungry deck. Like basically my threats are 4 mana primarily, and 2 of those are 5 mana. So might be a problem, but we'll see how this goes. He wastelands, so back on 1 green mana for me. But he doesn't have a threshold, and even if he did, I have a wall hindering him from doing any damage to me. Okay, he plays out the orb using the last counter from the gemstone here. Werebear will be a problem. A 4/4 into an 0/4 wall is not something I can handle in this position. But he haven't shown me anything like that yet. And I'm taking my time here, think about what the play should be. Or if I should make a play. I do therapy him. Maybe for the foil, because that's a known card, and I hit double foil. Okay, as I said in my previous one of the previous rounds, my Cabal therapies were on point in this small get-together. Getting a 2 for 1, or 2 for like half a card. It has Thresh or Flashback. is quite powerful. Dust Bowl. Not a card that, or not a land that I would love to see, but well, I got to see it. Okay, a werebear is played, and it does have threshold. That's a problem. I could hope to find a wall of roots to still keep him in check. I do have deeds in the deck. I dropped down a land here, a cycling land, so maybe signaling, yeah, I do have the deed. I just want to play it and pop it on too, and that is a good plan here, but I'm kind of certain he has some kind of counter in hand. 1 black mana. Therapy. Therapy, probably for counterspell. Maybe Gush. Gush would be a great card in this situation. No, it is a counterspell, and I hit once again. I haven't seen him counter anything, but I got it. Tapping my lands to play a Baloth. So I too have a 4/4. They could trade, and then I'm back to just blocking the mongoose. He gushes. Floats 2. 2 blue mana flowing. I'm playing down an island again here. He swings. I block. We trade. He uses some mana. Playing out another bear here. Yeah, of course he couldn't use the floating mana because he changed phases. He went from his combat or main phase to combat, and so he needed to tap again. But that whereas not something I would like to see here. Super dangerous position, and with the Winter Orb, I'm kind of toast. He swings for 7. I do block. He bolts it. I'm surprised he had bolt. I knew that he could have a fire here, which would have been even better with 1 damage to the face here. But back again with another wall. But I'm just hoping to see something that I can do against these creatures. I could draw into Smother. I do have 1 in my main. And I drop down a swamp. And starts him. He swings for 7. He blocks. Oh, I block, of course. I take 4. So I am at 5 life. I need to be able to take care of that werebear this turn. I need to be able to get rid of some of his one of his creatures at least. I drop down a swamp and passes the turn here. Two mana. Okay, so forcing him to sacrifice a creature. He can just sacrifice the mongoose here. Yeah, he does. He does so. He's still winning. And I block to stay at 5 life. And goes to my turn. Draw. 2 mana for another wall. Basically a time walk in this situation. But will it be enough? That Winter Orb is the card that won this game. If he gets this, this is super rough for the Rock to be under a Winter Orb. But he swings with his 4/4. I block. He plays down a Dryad. So now I am sure that this is some kind of grow deck, and I just pick up my cards. I cannot do anything about this pressure, and that is game 1 for Jens here. If you are playing MTGO or Magic the Gathering online and are using a rental service, or if you want to do that, I have a link in the description for a referral and a coupon code which makes you get 30% off on your next subscription. So consider that, and onto the video. Back after sideboarding here, and we are going straight into a match where I get to start, and we get to keep hands with 7 cards instead of 5. And I think that is the way to go here. I have some great top decks, but if I'm not sure that I have enough lands to drop my spells, it sucks. So starting at 5 is not where I want to be, and for Jens, I guess it doesn't matter because he has Gush that he can draw with, and maybe some cantrips since he had that Riot there. But Treetop as my turn 1, and he has a Mongoose for his turn 1 here. I'm not afraid of a 1/1 this early in the game. When it grows, it's difficult to handle, but not for my deck with the Deed, so not really a concern for this rock deck. I guess if I were a Sly player, I would look at it differently. 2 mana and a wall, so check mate on that Mongoose. So back to Jens. What is he up to? Having a gemstone mine as your first land tells me that the rest of the hand must be blue sources with islands. And he plays a compost. Not sure if compost is good here. I know why he has it in the deck, because Moneyball Black is a dangerous deck, and it shows up like in huge numbers in tournaments at the moment. It's a nice looking deck and it's a fun deck, so you need to be wary of it. But compost against the rock, I can just not play my discard spells, and then he like only gets something from the Deed, and that is fair because blowing up a Deed with his small creatures is advantageous for me still. Okay, so we are in my turn, and I'm not sure what he's doing here. Maybe the sleeve was a little bit dirty, but it does look like I am changing my plan here, so probably going for something else than playing a discard spell, and I just swing here. Goes aggressively with the Treetop, and ship's turn back to Jens. So an island and a Winter Orb. So that was the game-winning piece in game 1. So I have more removal for that now, and Jens probably knows that. And he drops it down with, maybe he can have Daze or Foil to protect it. But now he does have double blue mana. He plays a Wasteland, of course, on the tapped one. I cycle a Thicket, and it's going to the graveyard. Untapping my Treetop and draw for turn. Still, that compost didn't do anything here. And a third Treetop. Treetop does look nice, although it comes into play tapped. But my wall here is MVP. I would have been down at like 12 or something, 13 maybe, with that 1/1 just attacking each turn. So playing walls is one of the best things you can do in the rock to stabilize early on and just drop your fatties later. Of course, a discard, but I'm under a compost here. So back to Jens. And I am worried about the lightning bolts for my treetop, so if I want to have mana, I'm not going to waste my treetops on giving him the options to lightning bolt them. Okay, a 5th land, Stronghold, quite greedy. The rock doesn't have the best mana since it's enemy colors, so no fetches. And playing those colorless lands is taxing on the mana base, but I think this land is quite good, where you can just put creatures from your graveyard on top of your library. And we're just chilling here. And if I could get rid of that Winter Orb, I could start looting Baloths or something more powerful, like cards that he cannot interact with my other creatures being these Shroud ones with fading. Okay, so he plays a bear. He doesn't have Threshold. He's not anywhere near. He even got rid of his Gemstone Mine, signaling that whatever he has in hand, he's going to have it in hand just a little bit more. I'm gonna take a look here. Maybe checking to see if the coast is clear for a deed. Okay, he could have had cast foil here, but this is ruffians. If I have the deed here, okay, he got a draw. I'm gonna say that he got a draw from the compost, and there's an arm on top. Okay, now it's gone. 3 mana. Just trying to get it in there. A deed. What can you do about this one? What can you do, Jens? Can you answer this? Can you answer this? You can daze it and force me to pop it next turn, so you can get in an attack with your 1/1s. I'm not sure that is something you want to do here. Tapping 2 blue mana. Tapping my land. I am, in response, putting Deed on the stack so he won't get to draw. And he's just looking here. It resolves and goes to the bin, and everything is gone. So maybe it's not that rough for Jens, because I am helping him with like enabling Threshold here. So I am a nice guy. I help him with Threshold, and well, I also removed his board, but Threshold is important for his creatures. But what can he do now? He has 4 cards in hand. We see a bear. Wasteland on the Stronghold. Playing out a bear, so he has a 4/4. That is powerful. But I have a ton of options in hand here. Green, no. Green and black, Smother. Nice. Yeah, Smother is great against this deck. 2 mana for a removal. It doesn't target the mongoose, but those can be blocked by walls easily. And then what? Should I attack into the bolt? Probably not. I do have the 4 mana, but 3 mana. Deed? Okay, just putting it out there. Can you do anything? Okay, it's just going to stay there. Gotta be nice to look at for my opponent with this plan of going quite low on the mana curve. Duress, show me your hand. Show me your hand. Maybe he bolts me. Yeah, he bolts me. And shows 2 cards that I cannot do anything about right now, but I can. This is amazing. Cabal Therapy, MVP today. MVP. Swings for 3, and now it's Jens' turn. Puts down a City of Brass, and sends the turn over to me. And what's your plan? What can you do against this? Probably not much. 2 mana, Wall of Roots. And swing for 3, and shifts the turn. And he says, back to you, sir. And what then? I can swing with 2 treetops now? Yeah, does so. That is 6, and now he needs to draw a winning card. He doesn't, and that is game 2. So 1-1 against this Miracle Grow deck. Game 3 here. We didn't get to see any of my non-wall creatures in the second game, but I still managed to get it with the treetops. Even though he wastelanded one of them, I got through his defenses and killed him. Deed was MVP of the match there. So I guess it's down to, am I able to pop a Deed? Or is he able to just shut me down with Wastelands and with Winter Orb? That is his game plan. So he starts with a portent here. Seeing another portent, an opt, and what looks like an island. Sends the turn over and draws in my upkeep. Very powerful cantrip. I play down a tapped Baron Moor. So he can wasteland it if he wants to. He plays down another island, so only blue sources, no creatures in hand, or no colored sources in hand. That is my thought here. So I just do nothing. Okay, he can opt. He takes the card on top, and he can opt again. And he takes another card from the top of his library. Cards that he knew were there from the portent. So now he doesn't know what's on top. Correction. He just takes a look and sees what's on top. And he's probably unsure if he likes the cards. Will it get him anywhere? I think I saw Daze in hand there. Daze is nice against cards that have a big mana value, since I will probably drop my creatures on turn 4 and have no backup mana. So nice for Jens to just show us that, because I had no clue. But being on the play, Daze is nice. Winter Orb, aggressive, I must say. So Winter Orb without any mana up for disruption shows that he might have a counter, so Naturalize here. And I had the 1 mana up, relevant. And back to Jens. Maybe he has another one. So Naturalize on the best Naturalize target for me in his deck, Winter Orb. Okay, 3rd portent, 5th cantrip in the game already. So he's just looking for either colored mana or creatures or both, maybe. I don't think we see a creature in hand there. Is that a compost we saw on top of the library, maybe? He is thinking. And it stays there. So sends the turn, he draws. I draw. And what then? I don't have any pressure either, but I think in the long game I will, or I could take down this game. And just sends the turn back to me. I'm able to develop my mana here. And that swamp you're seeing on my side of the table was a swamp I brought to Euros 2024, and each of my opponents signed it. So most of the signatures are just signing that, yeah, I won against you, because my record in that tournament was not where you want to be in a big tournament, but I had fun. I would really say that if you haven't been to any big pre-modern tournaments, try to get one in and see if you like it. I think it's a ton of fun. Okay, we see an ice on my Llanowar Wastes. And he is really trying to dig for something. Yeah. Now, oh, he milled over one of his main threats against my deck. But he enabled Threshold. And now he taps colored mana, so maybe a 3/3. No, maybe a 4/4 or 1/1. Dryad or Bear? Dryad or Bear? It's a Bear. Maybe he has both, since he took that long to drop down the creature. So there might be more threats incoming here. Tapping 2 black mana for a Ravenous Edict. So this one is basically just an edict effect with sorcery speed, so not the best, but it okay, now comes the beasts. If it resolves, that is. Blastoderm, Daze. Nope. It's gone. But yeah, back to the edict effect. It has threshold for 7 mana. I'm already at 6 lands in play. I'm not at 6 mana because he might drop a Winter Orb, but I'm close to casting the flashback on it as well. Oh, we saw a Mongoose, but he has more options. Compost. Okay, so that was what he was thinking. Compost, and back to me. But at this point, I don't think my discard spells matters. 4 mana. Blastoderm. He didn't like the first one, so maybe he will like the second one. Fading 3, so fading is almost as vanishing. Vanishing makes more sense for newer players, because with fading, you might see it later on, but it's not dead when it doesn't have a counter on it. It's dead when you can't remove a counter. So it gets to attack for a total of 15, unless it has haste. And if you're into getting a hasty Blastoderm, maybe you should try building like a fire stack. He drops a 3/3 Shroud. But I can raise that, so I'm not concerned. Fading counter off and untapping all my lands. And I slap him for 5 damage and drops down a land. Not concerned with Armageddon. I'm not sure if this list of Jens plays Armageddon. If it does, I am not in a good spot here with 7 of my lands being in play, and he only has 5. Okay, he ices a land, just a forest, a basic forest. Really doesn't matter here. And he slaps me for 2. Taps 2, so it's a gosh. 2 blue floating. Okay, playing down an island signals that he doesn't have an Armageddon, because that would have been the perfect time to blow up my lands and he would end up at 2 life from my Blastoderm, so might have been able to take it home, but probably no Armageddon in there. But no play from that Gosh. Swing, 5. Okay, he's at 7. I'm at 16. And a Treetop. This is looking nice. Considering to Edict, but ships the turn. I know of Daze, so I'm not gonna tap 7 mana for me to be dazed and then Winter Orbed. Dropping down an island. Does he attack? Probably, but he plays down another one. He's at 6 life. I will attack for 5. Treetop is wasted. Last fading counter goes off, so one last swing here. If you were a newer player, you would say this is going to the graveyard, right? It has no counters, but yeah, I could still remove a counter, so it stays in play. And in the time shifted set, what is it? Is it just called time shift something? Time. They made like a white version of this, which has vanishing. Makes much more sense. And well, if there were a Blastoderm in white and Premodern, I would play it for sure. Okay, Edict, flashback. He sacks one of his dudes. I swing. And he chooses not to go to 5 or take 5 damage. He blocks. He had to block. He couldn't do anything. He has City of Brass as his mana source, so he needed to block here. And it's my turn. So what then? What can I do here? Drop some more creatures, maybe? I have played 2 Blastoderms. I have the ability to drop 2 more. No, I'm 1 green mana short. But with me taking this long, I know that I do have several options as to what to do here. Maybe just Duress. Yep, Duress it is. Can I take a look, please? And no, I can't. I cannot take a look. Counterspell. And I point to his compost because he needs to draw from my Duress. 1/2 mana, Wall of Roots. Okay, maybe I see where this is going. Black mana, Therapy. Therapy on what? Yeah, I'm taking a look through his graveyard. Would be nice for me to have shown the graveyard on camera. I see that now. But probably going for Gosh or for counter magic of some sorts, maybe foil. I forgot what I called her. I have said that Cabal Therapy was like MVP this tournament, so maybe I do hit something. No hit. Okay, what is that on top there? Yeah, that's some weird stuff here. Maybe someone can comment down below what this card is. I have no clue what this card is. But Naturalize, Werebear, 2 bolts. 2 mana. 3, 4 mana. 5 mana. Deranged Hermit. Deranged Hermit here. He can bolt the Hermit. And I don't know why. I need some squirrel tokens. Maybe I have some of those modern ones. I would love to have like one of these old unglued ones just to represent a stack of... Yeah, when I'm talking about that, the elf goes to the bin. But a stack of squirrels represented by an old OG token would be nice, or some hand-drawn ones. But for now, it's a divider from my deck box. Yeah, okay. I found a counter. Not sure why. Are we going to time here? I'm not sure. Maybe we are. This video is kind of long. Okay, so he drops down a 3/3, and then this. A lightning bolt from the graveyard onto the creature. Please tell me down below what's going on here. I have no clue. I cannot recognize the card in action. Okay, now we go to turn 1 of 5. So we are hitting the time limit, which is kind of a rock thing to do. Okay, a stronghold. Can I get to attack for 4? I only have 3 guys left. 3 squirrels. Yeah, taking the time to think, can I either end the game or should I do all I can to draw the game, is something you need to consider when hitting time instead of just doing whatever you're used to. Okay, I swing. And 2 of the elves or squirrels go, and he takes 1. So he is at 3 life. Turn 2. Jens takes turn 2 here. He has a bolt. Naturalize doesn't do anything here. He has a bear, which takes him to 2 life. Since the turnover, I put Hermit on top of my deck here. Deranged Hermit, and probably just play it out. Maybe, maybe not. That makes me able to attack for 3 damage, although he can use a bolt for the Hermit itself to just make it a 1/1, so not worth it. I have no treetops. Okay, I put a counter on, which makes me float 1 green. I therapy Jens here. Therapy Jens. I have 3 known targets that I can name here. And what did I call? I'm not sure. Maybe I'm not scared of any bolts. Maybe I named Counterspell. 3 mana, 4 mana, 5 mana. I do have the floating one. A Hermit. Oh, okay, now I use the floating one instead, of course. Do I have another play? I don't think so. I need to be able to drop Hermit or get Hermit from my graveyard next turn. He should kill it in my upkeep, I guess. Or in my main. Okay, he kills one of the squirrels. He should kill it when I cannot just put it on top and draw it. Wasteland. And packs it in. So yeah, I got this game. 2-1 against this awesome looking deck, but sadly not doing great against such mid-range deck as the Rock. On to the next match.